If Deku had creation, part 4. Now, in the last part, I did say Deku lost his arm to the Nomu, which he did. Now, many people are saying, wait, did he just forget the fact that he can regenerate an arm? But really, he doesn't regenerate it, so he can prove to himself that he can keep fighting even if he ends up losing an arm. As he knows that there will be situations that maybe if he just creates a regeneration quirk, it's not going to work. So he's testing his limits by sort of going beyond with his training, basically. As he can turn off regeneration and not, but he hasn't created a regeneration quirk just yet. So, getting back into the story, Deku just left to go train for 2 weeks for the UA Sports Festival. Once those 2 weeks are up, he comes back and everyone is still surprised that he's completely fine with missing his left arm. It's not like he lost his dominant arm, though, as he would have had to switch up completely. I mean, Deku took probably a massive decrease in power once he lost that one arm, but he can still fight better than most people. So, Aizawa says, okay, put these uniforms on and go outside into the Coliseum. Aizawa tells Izuku to wait, which he does, and Aizawa gives him a special one that only has one sleeve, kind of adding insult to injury. So he's like, I could have just had the same one. You didn't have to make me it. You know what? I don't care. As everyone's walking out, Deku also walks out as Midnight yells, and now, Class 1A and the rest of all of UA's students, and please, for the first year representative, please come up. As Izuku walks up there and says, now just because I only have one arm doesn't mean you all can go easy on me. I'll beat you all. It's just one arm. I'll show that you guys aren't giving your 100%. As Deku walks back, so everyone's just like, yeah, like a one-armed kid could do anything. So they're basically making fun of this disabled kid, thinking that because he lost an arm in battle is just horrible, like he's weaker than them. They don't really know how he saved all of Class 1A by losing that arm. He saved Momo by losing that arm. So, after this, Midnight announces that they're going to be doing a race, which Izuku's just like, alright, this is good. Won't have to use my arms or arm that much. It's still kind of weird that I only have one. Once I win this, I'll regenerate it like Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z. It'd be actually kind of funny to see their reactions. He's just thinking this as Momo comes up to him and says, oh, good luck, Izuku. He's like, oh, good luck to you, Momo. As they line up, and as soon as President Mike yells, go! Everyone sprints out, but Todoroki encases them all in ice, which Deku uses his one arm and punches the ground as he starts flying with his green explosions behind him. So he's like, Todoroki, that was a cheap move! As he slams both of his feet on the ground, sending ice and fire right at Todoroki. So Todoroki's just like, I'll beat you and prove my old man that I have to use his power. I'll beat you with only 50% of it. Deku just looks at him and he's like, that's kind of hard when I have your full power. As he starts sending explosions out of his one hand and fire and ice out of his 2 feet, just rocketing him forward. And he's also using fire out of his feet. If you guys have seen Fire Force, he's basically using his feet like that as he's like launching himself forward, using his feet basically, since he only has one arm. Deku ends up coming in first as everyone cheers for him. Everyone's like, he's lucky that there wasn't anything that had to do with arms in this test, or he would have been toast. So everyone just keeps whispering until Midnight yells that the first place winner is going to have 10 million points in a cavalry battle. Deku just sweat drops and he's like, oh, it's actually going to have to involve skill. Unless, as President Mike yells go after Midnight flashes her whip. Deku just creates like a Steven Universe bubble that is basically a force field. I believe he used during the USJ. I feel like he used that during the USJ. But if he didn't, he just created a bubble cork that acts as a force field. Since nobody wanted to pair with him, he was up as a single, which kind of made people pity him as he's pretty much disabled and he only has 0 teammates. So everyone tries to break the bubble, punching it, sending ice at it. Bakugo sending explosions, only for it just to keep bouncing back until Todoroki's like, I've had enough of this, as he sends a massive glacier of ice right at Izuku's bubble, which just sends it flying towards the wall as it just starts ricocheting off the wall as it just keeps bouncing back and forth, going in inhuman speeds until it just keeps hitting people like a game of pinball. Totoro's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. As he gets hit, as his team falls over, as Deku is just there, standing there, as he unwarps his bubble, as he's like, did I win that easily? He's just like scratching the side of his head and like, man, should have known not to attack my bubble fortress. It's unbreakable. As Deku walks up to Midnight and says, so, did I win? Midnight just replies with, I guess so. The next event will be a one-on-one battle. Let's do a random lottery to see who the next 3 teams will be to go into that. The first team is Todoroki's team, Bakugo's team, and Shinso's team. Please step up so we can pair you up for who you're going to be fighting against. As everyone says this, they basically stand up and they put their names into a bracket. Deku ends up getting paired against Shinso, as Shinso's just mocks him and it's like, it's going to be easy crushing a one-handed fool like you. You cocky one people make me sick. Deku's just like, you will try. As they go back to rest for a 30-minute break, also eating lunch. Once this 30-minute break is up, everybody walks down, or mostly Izuku and Shinso, as their match is first. Once Midnight flashes her whip and says, go, or you may begin, Shinso says, how lucky is it for a one-handed fool like you to be in Class 1A? We should really swap places. I bet I'm so much stronger than you. Deku, keeping his composure, as he just walks straight towards Shinso. Remember, Deku got warned by Ojiro that he had a brainwashing quirk. And since Deku pretty much tries to keep as calm as possible when he's fighting, unless Momo's involved, he pretty much just walks straight up to him, and Shinso's like, hey, respond to me, you brat. As Deku just puts his hand out in sort of a chopping motion, but rather he puts his hand flat, all fingers together, and just push with his middle fingertips right at his heart, as he just forms his hand into a fist and just punches him straight on. As Shinso's eyes become lifeless, as he just falls over, just completely knocked out, as everyone's just like, what did he just do? Is that his sheer strength, or did he kill him? So everyone's just confused. Do they applaud or do they not? Did he just kill somebody? Did he not? We don't know. So, once that's over, Recovery Girl runs down there and checks his pulse to find he's alive, just sleeping soundly as his heart is beating very, very slowly, as Deku stopped his heart and then made it beat again, which basically just made him pass out. Now, I've learned that you can stop somebody's heart depending on their ages. I know if you can stop like a newborn's heart for like an hour or so, but once that happens, you have to restart it to not inflict brain damage. I don't know. Saw it in some movie thing. Not even sure if it's true. It was a documentary. Now, back to the fight. Deku just gets announced that he has to fight Todoroki in the second round. Todoroki says that he will beat him with only 50% of his power. Once they walk up there, Deku's just like, it's a shame. You're casting your father's power away. All this time you've resented him, when really you should be accepting him. So Todoroki's like, what do you mean, accepting him? Do you know what he did to my mother? So Deku just, it's like, oh yes, he beat her, didn't he? He abused you with training. Have you ever thought if you just went along with things, that you could have actually had a happy life? Yes, he did abuse you, but since you cast away his powers, that just made him angrier. And now look where you are. Would your mother want you to be holding back? She doesn't want you to hold back your true self. As Todoroki's like, I'll still beat you 50% of my power. So Deku just smiles and says, well, I'll beat you with only your power. As Deku just flicks his finger, sending a massive torrent of ice barreling towards Todoroki, who can only put up an ice wall to block it, as he gets pushed straight back into an ice wall blocking him from falling out of the arena. So he's like, what? It's so much stronger than mine. How is this possible? He merely only copied my quirk. Could he have possibly made it powerful doing this? So many questions race through Todoroki's mind as Deku just keeps sending a barrage of flick ice attacks right at him. So Todoroki keeps dodging or blocking them as he starts to feel his frostbite taking over him. As Deku says, oh, I'm just starting to get warmed up, as fire emits from his legs and his one hand. As Deku's just like, prepare to get demolished from your own quirk, Todoroki, unless you want to use yours to stop it. As he sends a blast of fire, looking like it's barreling, circling towards him, as all he can think is just to try to block it with his ice. He throws up ice, but it just gets burned. As Izuku's fire starts to turn blue, bluish purple, he's like, what? No, this can't be. It's stronger than mine as well. As Todoroki sends a weak turn to fire at him, as Deku just smiles and yells out loud, see what you've done, Todoroki. You've fallen behind all of us. By casting away your quirk, you're weak. Todoroki, only your ice quirk is strong now. Your fire quirk is nothing but a little ember left inside of you from when you actually used it. As Todoroki falls unconscious from using too much of his quirk, as Deku just picks him up and carries him away. Everyone's kind of shocked by this, as Deku was always pretty much, like, he never really was mean to anybody, but when he was fighting Todoroki, he was. The next battle is Bakugo and Izuku, which is the final battle. Deku, of course, tells Bakugo that his friend, that he will beat him with only his quirk, just like he did with Todoroki. Bakugo obviously says, you won't beat me with my own quirk, Deku. Or he just randomly said Deku, man, I'm really confused. But no matter, they both charge at each other. Bakugo sending his normal explosions, Deku sending his green explosions. As both of them says, let's end this in one shot. As Bakugo's like, AP shot. As Deku just says, massive explosion. Man, I can't really think of good attack names. But it ends up striking right through Bakugo's explosion, mixing into it to create what's like an orange plus green sort of thing. I'd say it gets like yellowish green, maybe teal or something like that. Like a teal explosion just goes barreling towards Bakugo until it just consumes him. And once the dust clears, they can see him embedded into the wall on the other side of the stadium. So I hope you guys did enjoy What If Deku Had Creation Part 4. See you guys. Bye.